Welcome to The Writer's Dream, a show where writers talk about their books, their publishing ventures, and the wonderful world of marketing. Before we get started today, I would like to tell you about a new feature of The Writer's Dream, and that is that we have a Facebook page. And if viewers have questions, we'd like them to put those questions on the Facebook page, and we'll try to answer those questions in future shows. Speaking about marketing, today we have a guest who is the marketer extraordinaire of Long Island. His name is David Gussin, and he is the founder of 516 Ads and 631 Ads. David, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great. And before we go on to anything, I just want to let you know that it's an honor for me to be here today, not to be on a talk show. For those audience members who might not know, you've been a teacher for 50 years. You help educate children for 50 years. And in a world full of fluff, even on TV and the media, it's people who teach children for 50 years, what makes things happen. So I thank you, and it's an honor for me to be here today.
Well, thank you very much, David. Please tell us about 516 Ads and 631 Ads. What does that mean, and what is it?
By itself, it's just a name, a catchy name. But what it is, we're building a Long Island resource, a resource built by the Long Island business community. On one end, it's about igniting business, helping businesses get their name out there. For each and every business, it's different. But to cut it short, I like to make it a mixture of web and warmth. The web's important, so to many people, it's everything. By no means is it, but the web. Yeah, you got to be good on the web, but you also have to be good at getting out there, building relationships, meeting people. Back to the warmth side of old school type of business. And on the other end of 516 Ads, I know it sounds a little weird, but we call it goodness speaking up. You see, for years, people say, you can't read the paper, you can't read the news, it's all negative, negative, negative. Well, you just can't make a good newspaper, that wouldn't work. But what you can do is ignite business, help people make their businesses better. In this case, in a region, Long Island, New York, everyone pays a fair share, almost like a Channel 13 type of situation. Everyone participates. And with that, you spread good in the community. Because there's a lot of good going on, but goodness is invisible. So you just can't make a good newspaper. That wouldn't work. But you ignite business and then spread positive, man, I think it's a home run, but certainly people are liking it, happily.
Well, I have to agree with you with that, because a business model generally doesn't involve talking about spreading good. And I think that's a very praiseworthy thing that you're doing in spreading good. And that was one of the things I noticed at your networking meetings. Can you tell us about your networking meetings, how you joined 516 Ads and 631 Ads, and what those networking meetings involve, and how they help you?
Well, there's a ton of networking going on in Long Island. Actually, different kinds, from one per industry group, and it's different strokes for different folks. So whether it be a one per industry group type setting, a more organized, quiet setting, where you actually join. When people work with 516 Ads, I don't think of them as joining. I think of them as like supporters of what we do. They support the idea. But what I try to do at my networking events is bring business people together. Bring no rules. Yeah, we do have two rules: bring a smile, bring a positive attitude. Let's get it on. Bring a smile, bring a positive attitude. But I have faith in the trust of heart. They wouldn't be in business. They wouldn't be running their own business if they didn't have a smart mind in their head. So bring these people together, whether it be 50 people, 100 people, come together, let them mingle. And to me, I use the term, there's a wonderful mushrooming effect when business people come together. Now, mind you, it's not so much there's a strategy, there's a way to go about things. And for lack of a better term, you don't want to be a pig, you don't want to go to an event, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. Dale Carnegie, to me, for at least the starting point of networking, had the best quote. You can make more friends in 2 weeks by showing interest in others than you can in 2 years of trying to get others interested in you. And while I'm very big into networking in Long Island, as many people know, the one point I want to get across here, hopefully reaching millions of viewers, it's not all about networking. Businesses should do networking, and they should have a million other things to do. It's because if you're just counting on networking, it's not going to work. Oh, I'm going to show up and people are going to send me people. No, it's not about showing up. And many people feel that way. It's like, oh, we work together and all that's fine. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as you show up and it's up to you. It's up to the individual business owner to take advantage of that event, to take advantage of networking, not expect anything from it. It's up to them to go out there and make something from it.
Well, I've been to your networking events, and I have to say, first I'm going to tell you a funny story. I go with my friend Karen Bonet, who's also an author, and we have noticed, just breaking into the networking scene on Long Island, that if you belong to enough organizations, you never have to cook another meal. Because there's always food at these networking events, which of course creates a wonderful atmosphere. And what I like best about your networking is that you feature people. Can you tell us about that? You featured me once.
Well, and it was an honor to. Well, before I tell you our feature, I'll tell you this. What brings someone to what? When I was a young boy hanging out with my friends, I still hang out with them to this very day. Now we meet 3 times a year, 4 times a year. We play cards. My friends were the best when it came to football and stuff like that. I was good when we all played together, hockey or football. You know, we all played together fine. But if we were playing another team from the neighborhood, you know, I wasn't like on the starting team. I'd watch from the side. But I'd still always go there and root for my friends.
Sure.
So part of me, I think, and it works well with networking, is in many ways I'm a cheerleader. The only thing is I got to believe in something to cheer for it. I can't cheer for something that I'm iffy on. But if I believe in a person and they work hard and they're out there, man, I'm a cheerleader. And just from that alone, if Picasso says, look at this beautiful picture of this tree I made, not so special. But if someone else, but my grandpa said self-praise is a small recommendation. So just in networking, if Picasso says something's great, it's a hollow if he's saying his own work. But if someone says, look at this, and so when I introduce people, it's even better than if they introduce themselves, just because it's coming from another party. And
Absolutely.
just one part of it amongst many.
How many people belong to this networking group? It seems like a cast of thousands whenever I go.
And it's not to be correcting. I just like to be specific.
Sure.
There's so many networking groups on Long Island, and they're wonderful. To me, 516 Ads is not a networking group. We're trying to build a Long Island resource, and we just use networking as a tool. And there's a big difference. The one thing I'll give us credit for in this networking world, we actually developed, to me, the networking world, is all networking groups used to be separate. The ABC group was separate from the CBS group. I don't know why exactly they kept themselves separate, but probably a thing of if I tell them about someone else, it's going to take away from me. When I started 516 Ads, I'm not about starting a networking group. I'm about giving Long Island business owners the best information to help them, knowing that for each one it's different. So even, say we have an event tomorrow night. There's some other groups that have events tomorrow night too. If you receive my email or go to our site, I don't just tell you about our event tomorrow night. I'll let you know about theirs as well. Theoretically, that might be taking away from me. But overall, my main goal with this is to be a source of information. So, you know, not a networking group. As far as us, we have about 500 sponsors already over the 4 years that we've been around, whether it be sponsoring events of ours, taking out advertisements, writing articles for us on the site. We try to use multiple tools to help people get their name out there. For every company, it's different. But so 500 people, if I answered your question. Sorry about that.
Well, no, that's fine, because it generated another question, which is that you talk about being a resource, and I've gone on your website, and I encourage anybody who is interested in promoting a business to go on your website and think about joining, because there's a wealth of information in there, which I find very interesting. But speaking about resources, you build websites. Tell us about that.
We build websites. Good thing is there's many people to build websites. What I like to do with websites is make them as simple, as efficient, and as easy, and make people as easy to remember as possible. Among some skills that I may have, my best skill is making things easy to remember, and that matters. You need to be easy to remember. The reason I like to keep it efficient is I have lots of clients. So I've heard stories that a gentleman paid $20,000 for his website. And that's fine. He's a big company. He's $1 million company. He paid $20,000. Okay, that's the way it works. 80% of the people don't leave the home page. Long Island, where we are here, 90-something% of businesses are small business. If someone wants to build a $20,000 website, I could get a bill for them. I prefer to build websites that cost a few $100. I prefer to keep it inexpensive, efficient, because for most companies, not the Victoria's Secrets of the world. Victoria's Secret needs a $100,000 million website, but most small businesses don't. In many ways, the web is exaggerated. The people would like the web to be a magical tool for them, but in many ways, having a website is not much different than having your phone number in the phone book 20-something years ago, or the yellow pages. It's just a landing page for people to be able to reach you initially, and not much more than that. Can you make it more than that? Yeah. Is it worth it? Depends on the business and the time and the money involved. Every business is different. It would have to be analyzed, differently.
Well, I have to agree with you there, because you can have a gorgeous website, and if nobody knows it's there, no one goes to it. I think that in my experience, you have to find a way to get the people to find your website. I hear about this all the time, search engine optimization. What does that mean?
Search engine optimization means coming up high on the search engines, and most of the time they're referring to Google. Google would be the status point for how to show up on the search. How high are you coming up on Google? But there's different ways to go about it. There's what you call pay, and people might have different terms for it, but there's the pay-per-click end, where you're actually paying for keywords and everything, and those are the ones that pop up on the side, or maybe the 3 featured sponsored ones on top. And then there's generic listings. Pay-per-click can get it could be very expensive. 2, I find that when you do pay-per-click, you have a budget. Your budget could be $50 a month, $100 a month, $500 a month. What I do know is this. Your budget never doesn't get used. If your budget is $500 a month, it gets used up to, there's never a time where they say, oh, you only use 238 out of your 500. They always use it to the fullest extent. Overall, I'm not a fan of it. First of all, pay-per-click compared to generic listings, I believe generic listings just get a respect out of the use. They know the difference. This is pay-per-click, meaning like, oh, they had to pay to be here. This is generic, sort of like they earned it. Second of all, and I'm not making any claims that it's factual, but pay-per-click, without question, is set up for fraud. Now, mind you, Google and the other places, and they'll tell you we protect against this, and we could tell who's clicking and this and that. Are you kidding me? If I run a construction company and I have pay-per-click, and I'm paying $5 per word, and I'm telling you, it could be that much. I mean, it could be 50 cents, but it could be $25 a word to come up high on certain. You bid on the word. Let it be $5. The person has a budget of $100 a day. What's to stop the other construction company who knows how it works to go to their thing on the side and click? Say they don't want to get caught because they know they can get caught, so they don't click, click, click. But every hour during the day, click, click. They're spending $5 of your money at a time on pay-per-click. It's true. Every time they click, someone comes to you that you just paid for your keyword, whatever you budgeted. So it's just set up for, I'm not a big fan of it. The other thing I want to say about search engine optimization is coming up high, and I've gotten dozens of people on page 1. If you Google Long Island Internet Advertising, 516 Ads is number 1. If you Google Long Island Promotions, my promotions person is on page 1. You Google signs, my signs person is on page 1. Tell business owners this. Get to the top of Google, fine. Forget about it and get to work. In many ways, for many businesses, not all, different businesses, once again, different things, but the bulk of them. Getting to the top of the search engines doesn't make your phones off the hook. It's just another thing you should maybe care about a bit. Get there, do your job, then get back to work. You got a lot of people watching their stats all the time. Stop watching and start doing. They didn't watch their yellow page ads years ago. They were working. Get your high search engine rankings, get back to work.
Okay, you're the first person who ever explained this to me where I really understand it. So getting back to work, All right, I have a Facebook page. I'm trying to use Twitter. I have actually 3 Facebook pages. I have one for me, one for my books, and one for the show. That's social media. How do I get back to work? How can all of this help me to promote these books? As an author.
I'm going to go on the side first as an author. First of all, whether it's an author or any business, it starts with people's hard work and determination. Also, their product needs to be needed. In writing, that's never the case because it's always a matter of opinion. But business in general, your product needs to be not just enough to have hard work and determination. That sounds nice, and it's certainly needed, number one key. But your product needs to be needed. And because people might not understand, they might love something so much, have such a passion for it, and it doesn't mean that they shouldn't do it. But they also have to put that into context of how much money they can make with it, and maybe it evolves over time. Now back to Facebook and social media. Man, the reason that I'm speak differently than most is because most people are talking about it, they're somehow probably making money from it. You got to get to the top of the search engine. Well, how do you do it? I know how to do it. Pay me. You got to get on Facebook. You got to make a page. Well, what do you got to do? I can make a page for you. So they're telling you about it. You've been on Facebook. You said it yourself. Pretty time-consuming over time, right?
Yes, it is. All of this is very time-consuming.
I want to give credit where credit is due first. Man, you want to wish people happy birthday? You want to you have an event that you want to get out and organize people. You want to put up positive quotes. Man, Facebook's beautiful. I mean, some people give it credit, and rightfully so, to helping countries literally change their way because that's how they communicated there. So I want to give it its due by talking about some of the beautiful stuff. And I do say this, the people might not get it, but I believe it's true. It's not that people love Facebook. They love themselves. And Facebook organizes it for them better than anyone else. That's what it is. People love themselves. That's what the computer did. It allows people to be by themselves all the time. They don't even need to be around everything else because everything's right in front of them. But Facebook organizes it beautifully. As far as Facebook for business, can it be good? Yeah. I'll tell you this, you got to work it if you want to be good.
Yep.
You got to, because a small company, most small businesses who are doing everything, they almost don't even got a ton of time to do it. If you're going to do it, it's almost like you need an employee, and your job is social media. Go take care of it. I'm not suggesting them to do that, but if they're going to do it, give it the effort there. Girl who runs a jewelry company. Facebook's beautiful for jewelry, not beautiful for insurance. Now let's get to books.
Yes.
Like you said, Facebook for books, or just social media for books. You got to brand yourself separately from Facebook. You know, there has to be a pizzazz to it no matter what. Even before you go on Facebook, it doesn't matter, Facebook by itself, before you put it up there. And I'm actually going to use you as an example.
Thank you.
Because you own, your book, your thing is the Annie Tillery Mysteries. That works. Can't promise that it's ever going to get out there, but it has a name to it. Annie Tillery by itself sounds mysterious. It sounds like a mystery thing. It also sounds like something that should be well known already beforehand. Because you could have wrote Lisa's Scared of the Dark. Lisa's Scared of the Dark. I don't see big potential in that. You could have wrote it. Lisa's Scared of the Dark. You're a mystery writer. You like to write. You could have titled it Lisa's Scared of the Dark. Right?
Yes.
I wouldn't see wow factor in that.
No.
Annie Tillery Mysteries, possible. The thing about Facebook for the authors and stuff like that is it's probably better to use after you've had some success already. If you actually use it before you've had success and you're just getting started, you make yourself look smaller than it is. Because if you're putting out Annie Tillery Mysteries and you're just getting started from scratch and you're telling everyone about it, and when they go to your Facebook page, they see she has 32 fans, or 178, or 234, which in small business isn't a lot. You actually make yourself look small.
So you mean the 6 people who liked me yesterday just not going to do it for me?
It's not, well, yes, those are, but actually to the people, but say someone never heard of it before, and they were iffy, and they were like, oh, Annie Tillery Mysteries, that sounds interesting, and the link is to Facebook. You have 132 fans. Oh, maybe it's not that interesting. Not that many people like it. Because the web world is a world of billions. And millions, whether we like it or not, people
Right.
go to the top. They think of Google. They think of Facebook. They think of big numbers. So when you show them small numbers, it actually makes you look smaller than you are. So once again, goes back to every company is different with the nuances. And
So I guess what you're saying to me is that what I have to do is I have to get out to the public, face to face.
well, being an author is different. Business is business, but being an author in many ways is sort of like being an athlete or an entertainer.
Yeah.
What is the person writing for? Depends why they're writing. If they're writing just to spread that, and everyone's in a different situation. Mm-hmm. Not everyone has to make money in this world. They could have had their money living on their retirement. Now they want to write. Some people are writing because that's the way they expect to make their living. So what's someone writing for? If you're just writing for your passion, that you just want to write and you want to express yourself, man, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Who's to stop someone from writing? I love writing just for a therapy. I think writing by itself is just wonderful. You have someone who's upset or anything, any good friend or anything, write down your thoughts, you tell them. Even if you crumple up the paper, it's okay, right? But when it comes to writing, what are you writing for? You're writing for love, do whatever you want. Man, if you're writing for money,
Forget about it.
it's not much different than the high school kid who's a star who wants to be a professional athlete, but there's a good chance it might not happen.
It's very true. I absolutely agree with you. Tell me about Learn.
Learn.
Tell me about Learn. Learn.
Learn is why I come to do these television shows wherever I go. I'm not a very spiritual person, but I think they say people are put on this earth for a certain reason. The original Learn stood for Let's End All Racism Now. And while I love igniting business and so many other things that I do, the idea of spreading an opposite to racism, wow, I was simply watching a television show one day. It's already 20-something years ago. And they had skinheads on, making audience members cry. And I was like, these people are idiots, learn. And I imagine millions of people who think like us screaming, learn, at these people on TV, learn. Mm-hmm. But I was like, learn what? There has to be something that anyone could say, that if you're really against racism, you'd have no problem saying it. And I thought for a while, and it hit me. Learn, let's end all racism now. And I knew right away in my head that was a special message. I mean, this is America. I was taught that there's the one country where people from all over the world come to make a better life for themselves. So while racism not only certainly existed, it causes to this very day the fracture that's in America. This great country, this behemoth of a superpower, America, the greatest country that people say ever existed, the greatest experiment, but still fractured by racism. So I understand the realness of racism, but it's up to the people to spread an opposite to it. And then I put my logo for the Learn is red, white, and blue for America, but there's a broken heart there. What's racism? You ask a million people, you get a million different opinions. But to me, it causes the feeling of a broken heart over society. And the way it leads into this very day is this, and it matters with my weirdness. Sorry, I'm so weird. Man,
I don't think you're weird.
20 years ago, racism was the biggest ism. So 20 years ago, this word, learn, let's end all racism now, even have more of an impact than it does today. And the reason is because now terrorism's the biggest ism. Yeah. Racism's not the biggest ism anymore. And actually, it takes a long back seat to terrorism, fine. But with terrorism and 516 ads, and I told you before, goodness speaking up, making something an opposite to the negative media. My saying now is goodness speaking up. That Learn logo that is still around, Learn, let's end all racism now, is just learn with a heart. Acquire knowledge of loving thoughts. Goodness needs to speak up in a unified voice, and as long as it's going to, it might as well say something smart. 516 ads and everything I do, and I might fail. I might not succeed. But man, I'm certain that goodness needs to speak up. I'm certain that the voices of love and caring people need to be heard. It's sort of like a collective enough already. And we're on the same side, and let's move forward from here.
Well, that was one of the things that really impressed me when I went to your first networking meeting, was this message that you have of unity and acceptance of people. I think that's so important, and probably I would think that in business it's very, very important to be that way to make your business successful.
It certainly can't hurt in business. In business, you have to be so many things. You can't put it in a little box of what you got to be. I like to use the word for business, dynamic. And when I use the word dynamic, I don't necessarily mean dynamic in speaking, because not everyone is. But you could be dynamic in your efforts. You could be dynamic in your product. You know, you could just be dynamic in a great job that you do. Almost like an aura has to come out of people.
I have to ask you one final question, okay?
Time flies.
Yes, time really flies. First of all, Oprah has said this. I'm going to read you a quote, and I want to see what you think of it. Oprah once famously said that there is no such thing as luck without preparation and a moment of opportunity. Would you agree or disagree with regard to your own success?
Yeah, there's no such thing as luck. Yeah, well, no. No. Luck's a tough word. Hard work makes good luck. I forget if Thomas Jefferson said it or Ben Franklin. The harder I work, you know, the luckier I get. You can't stop working hard. You can't stop planting smart seeds over and over. That's business. You got to plant smart seeds over and over again. As you're planting them, you keep working them, but as they grow, you got to keep planting them because you can't grow and stop harvesting. You got to keep planting, keep working hard. So I agree with Oprah. I don't always agree with her, but I agree with her.
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't always agree with her either, but yes, on this I do. Where do you get your energy from, David?
Believing in what we're doing.
Yeah?
Knowing that goodness needs to speak up. I know we're running out of time. Great individuals win awards. Great teams win championships. A country or a world is supposed to work together as a great team. If people could be anything I want them to be, man, appreciate and be a great teammate. I was thinking yesterday coming here, you know the one thing that'll change this whole world around? Everyone's worried about that, worried about this. We need to be invaded from outer space. We need to be invaded by Martians. Because all of a sudden, it wouldn't be we owe China 16 trillion of that. It's like we're being invaded by Martians. What are we going to do?
I'll see what I can do.
All of a sudden, we'll be on the same side. You know what I mean? We'll be teaming up. Hey, we got to work together here. And all the economy in this wouldn't even matter anymore.
David, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.